The last session of the day would be on assistive devices for children with disabilities by Ms. Kritika Jain. I request the speaker to occupy the podium.
Now I'd like to introduce Kritika Jain, postgraduate in physiotherapy, neurosciences, selective pediatrics, and she has many publications to her credit. She's worked in Christian Medical College and Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery in CMC. Over to the speaker for a talk on physiotherapy.
Kidding, it's only 38. So, before I can start, I want you all to take a moment and look at this screen here. Now, I know most of us would have seen the children in the images have some or the other form of disability. But how many of us actually saw the child first? So why is this important? Every child, be it with disability, without disability, deserves a good childhood. A childhood that looks like, from the infancy period, a childhood that can, have an experience with the environment, explore the world through different senses like touch, vision, sound, who turns into a toddler who can, run around different corners, touching different things, experiencing, taking in the environment more and more as he grows, that starts seeing himself a part of a community, start building relationships, starts participating, and the child who develops friendship, who, starts solving complex problems, to the child who can apply the skills that he or she has gained in all these stages to more complex issues, laying foundation for a productive adulthood. Now, all these interactions in the environment contributes towards the overall development. They learn crucial skills to survive in this world, to gain a vocation, to pursue hobbies, profession, and contribute to society. Basically, what we call an overall living a full life. But if a disability strikes at any of this age, it can have profound effects on the child. From dependency for even the smallest tasks of the day, like feeding, grooming, walking around, they may need a caregiver to be around them for all times. They may not be able to participate in play which is important for development of skills like exploring and expressing the feelings, problem solving, social skills like conflict resolution, group participation, imaginative thinking, creative thinking. All those would be affected because the child cannot participate in the play. Impact on development. Obviously, if child cannot normally experience the world as he or she is supposed to, it will have an impact on the way he or she develops and he or she interacts with the environment. If they cannot even complete basic daily day-to-day activities on their own, they cannot go out and get an education for themselves, grow skills. They cannot participate in leisure activities, they cannot pursue hobbies, they cannot develop relationships with their peers, make friends, lack a social group, which will lead to social exclusion. And studies also have found that children with disabilities, they have to spend way more on medical services compared to children without disabilities. And it also places a lot of burden on the caregiver, especially the parent who choose to stay back with the child at home, helping him or out with daily tasks 24/7, who are left with no time for themselves. And in this big scenario, the quality of life is lost. And despite all this, if the family decides that the child needs an education and they need to send the child to school, the world around us is not built for them. So we have certain barriers like physical barriers, the buildings are not accessible, the toilets are not made for them, the classrooms does not have space for them to move around. Or the communication informational barriers like unavailability of material in braille or unavailability of instructions in sign languages, or even the curriculum that is taught in the school is not structured in a way that can help a child with learning disabilities. And then we have attitudinal barriers. We have people around in the community who think that a child with disability cannot perform certain tasks, or the peers who think less of their friends with disability, or just general attitude where a child may be delegated a task which is way, way less than their potential. Thinking of a child with disability, every child, be it with disability or without disability, has immense potential. Okay, and that potential can be used to develop a skill which can help him in life further, which can help him get an education, which can help him develop necessary skills to be a part of workforce. But this gap can be bridged by the use of assistive devices. So now, if you look at us, assistive technology as such is everywhere around us. Starting from mobility aids, most of you would have come across these aids across your practices. I'll just summarize them. So we have mobility aids like wheelchair, walkers, crutches, and then visual aids like glasses, tactile toys, or braille books or braille keyboards. Then we have hearing aids in the air, behind the ear aids, or in canal aids, over the body aids. Then we have reading, writing, typing aids. Look at the no tech part of it. These aids can be simplified at home itself. If you can look at the pen grip with the Costco ball, which is helping the child to write. Or it can be even slip-on aids that can help a child to type. Then there are aids for ADL with modified utensils, modified brushes, spoons, zipper pull-ups and reachers which can help a child be more independent performing day-to-day activities. Then there are learning aids for children with learning disabilities such as voice recognition, audiobooks, optical character recognition, talking calculators, which can help a child with learning disability to cope in a mainstream classroom and level up with his or her peers around. Environmental control. I'm sure there is no home here without a remote or without a phone with apps or even Alexa. Even Alexa has revolutionized our world. Now we can switch on the fans, switch on the light, switch on the geyser, lock the windows with just a voice command. If it can make our life so convenient, imagine what it can do for a child with disability. Then there are communication aids, alternative, augmentative speech devices with picture charts, etc. So if we use these devices smartly, it can give us a lot of benefit. It can give the child with disability a lot of benefits. It bridges disparities between a child with disability and a child without disability. So it basically gives them a chance to go out in the world and have same opportunities that a child without disability would be entitled to. It improves participation now because they have aids, they can do tasks on their own, they can participate more, they can cope with the mainstream classroom. So their participation will improve in, be it in education, be it in social play, be it in recreational activities, sports. Now there are sports wheelchairs also which enables a child to go out and play basketball or cricket or even athletics. Now, when a child is doing so much, it is definitely going to give a boost to his or her self-esteem, confidence. It also reduces the burden on the caregiver. The caregiver who, again, initially I mentioned, who chose to stay with the child 24/7, now he doesn't have to help him get in, get out of toilet every time because the child has assistive device to help him. Even if the independence achieved is 40%, that is considerable time for the parent involved who was previously giving 24/7 care to the child. It also reduces cost of hired help for caregiving, cost of medical services, cost of prolonged therapy sessions. And if provided early in the critical period of development, it can also facilitate development. For example, if a child who is non-verbal is intervened and given communication aids early on in the life, it can actually improve the language skills. And when the child is going out about in community doing his own task, the attitudes of his peers, of the people around him, the people in the community are bound to change. Now, to get all these benefits, we need to, while prescribing the assistive devices, we need to keep in mind few things. We need to ask ourselves few questions. Are the needs of the child met? Okay. Now, I have seen so many times a child, is being made to walk for years together in therapy areas with a walker, with one person assisting him or her in front and one person assisting him or her from behind. Two people helping him to walk for years together in therapy areas. This is clearly not translating into a functional walking. The child is not able to clearly walk on his own. So in that scenario, let's switch to a wheelchair, and all that time spent in the therapy maybe can be utilized to develop a skill or a vocation, and which can later on pay him in life, and he can be a part of the workforce. The second thing is willingness of the child to use the device. Now, in this world, there is nothing that can guarantee the success of an assistive device if the child is not willing to use it. If the child is not willing to use it, he is not going to use it. So we need to make sure the child likes the device, the child is accepting of the device. How easy the device is for the child to use. Now remember, it's a child, he is using the device. It needs to be easy to put on, to take off. It needs to be easy to clean, manage. And if the device is appropriate for the child's environment, there is no point giving him a device, giving a child to give him independence in ADL, a device like Alexa, if the child does not have working internet connection. In that case, Reacher will do a much better job. Affordable. Now we also need to keep in mind that the children are growing and their needs will change, their size will change. So if the device is affordable enough to be invested into again and again over a period of years, and how easily available that device is. So availability also plays a crucial role. Now we at R2D2, we work towards this. So we are involved in engineering affordable products for rehabilitation needs, and we aim to enable easy, accessible and affordable assistive devices and rehabilitation solution. So the first picture that you can see here, these two are the prototypes being developed in R2D2. So the first picture that you see here is a walker cum sitting device for a child with cerebral palsy. So it uses, to translate sit to stand movement, it uses a pressure movement, and the child can easily sit to stand, change position in the same walker without having to transfer to the seat. And then the next one is a BMW, body movement wheelchair. So this is meant for the kids with very low mobility who do not have good fine motor control of hands and cannot use joysticks. So they can move any part of their body, for example head or trunk or hand, to move the wheelchair. So if the child, for example, is moving the trunk forward, the wheelchair will move forward. If the child is moving the trunk sideways, the wheelchair will move sideways. So these are some of the solutions that we are working on, considering the price, the availability in the market. So In the end, I would just like to say that every child needs a childhood that can give him all the experience, that help him develop into a proactive adult. So even if like we can achieve that even by 40% with assistive devices, we would have won. And I'll just leave you with this quote in the end. Thank you.
Thank you for your excellent talk on providing the assist devices. You stressed on the gap between the potential and the skill. You brought it out nicely. How and showed all the assist devices, hearing, vision, locomotion, all the other devices, and also the newer ones, and also the benefits because of that. Thank you very much for your nice talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here.